So apparently last night we had a little bit of an issue with the volume controls on StreamYard. I don't know what was going on with it, but we're just going to present a video as a flat video without any interaction. And if you want to comments in the comment section below, that'd be great. I'm interested in hearing your feedback. So without further ado, here we go. Why the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple are moot. A brief overview as presented by Harvest of Ave Satanis Discord. We've been having these discussions about the 7 tenets in the past, and Harvest kind of compiled some thoughts, and I think some of my thoughts might have gotten shoehorned in here, I'm not sure, but this is how Harvest presented it, and I agree with his statements, and I'll add a little bit here and there. So a word before we start, this is not an attack on the Satanic Temple, this is just a critique of their tenets. The purpose of this presentation is to start dialogue and explore the ideas of the 7 tenets and what they represent. So we'll start with Tenet 1, of course. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. Key word here is with reason. What makes no sense about this is reason is very subjective, and without a codified adoption of the rules of logic, it is an entirely useless thing to cite. So if you don't have any guidelines on what you think logically is reasonable, you really just are up to using UPG or ultimate personal gnosis to determine what is reasonable. Tenet 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. What makes no sense about this is that the law is to be followed. No religion should teach people to disobey the law. That's a Christian behavior. Yes, you can disagree with the law, but you try and other methods besides just breaking the law to change these laws. And we'll discuss one of those laws in another tenet here. This is the tenet we'll discuss it in, which is Tenet 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. This is a good point, but doesn't necessarily mean abortion is a good thing. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing either. As the word inviolable is a word that doesn't mean what they're using it for. So, like I was saying before, you're going to try and change how people view whether abortion should be legal. You should go about it in legal ways and not do things illegally. Breaking the law is not fun. Trying to find some way of getting an exemption around by using religious exemption, that doesn't really work. I mean, TST has several cases that have never made it through court. They've all been thrown out for one reason or another. If you really want to pursue something in the justice system, I highly suggest going to the American Civil Liberties Union in the United States. The ACLU has a hell of a lot better track record on getting things accomplished. But I think this is very a moot point because they don't understand exactly what they're meaning by inviolable. Tenet 4. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. This is a very sticking point. In my local chapter of TST, when I was helping to found it, we kept on arguing back and forth on what it meant to be free to offend. Well, that makes no sense. This shouldn't even be a situation that comes up. You should be making sure people actually want to hear your opinion about something before you vomit your vitriol upon them. You know, just kind of use your common sense. Tenet 5. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. And this is kind of solid, but ultimate personal gnosis doesn't mean you can't have beliefs that counter science. Just that you need to understand there's a difference between what we believe or what you believe and reality as we know it. Good example is those who believe in supernatural and ghosts. It's kind of wishy-washy woo that doesn't really fit the scientific facts. Usually you can find a decent scientific explanation for anything that would be considered a ghost. I know this is kind of weird coming from the chalkboard ghost guy. Number 6, people are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. I think they nailed it on this one. There's no notes from anybody on this. 1 out of 7, though. That's a pretty bad track record. They could have done better. Now, here comes my favorite one, because this makes everything we've just gone through, well, you'll see. Tenet 7. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. This is where it gets tricky. This is basically carte blanche to ignore the rest of the tenets if you personally feel justified in doing so. In other words, act like you want because, well, fuck it. It doesn't really matter. You're using your UPG to decide what you want to follow instead of these 7 tenets. This is what makes the entire thing a kind of a wishy-washy philosophy when it comes to the Satanic Temple. And I see it not a very good and strong platform on which to develop a philosophy of life and a way of living. That's just my personal perspective. You may disagree with me. Feel free to. I know this is a rather short presentation, but leave some comments below and I may respond with videos or in text. And we could open this up further once I get the audio figured out, what was wrong with StreamYard. We can have a discussion. I'd love to have a discussion on this topic with people on a panel. So, without any further ado, Ave Satanas, and hail thyself.